The desert air was still. It was a perfect day for flying. Major David Eagle Thorne piloted his F-22 Raptor with precision. His team, 2 other jets, flew in a tight formation. The sky above Nevada was a deep, endless blue. It was a routine training mission, one of 1,000 they had flown before. Nothing seemed out of place. Nothing suggested the abyss that was about to open. The jets were state-of-the-art machines. The pilots were the best in the world. Their mission was simple practice combat maneuvers and return to base, but they would not return. Not today. Suddenly the radios crackled with static. A burst of noise shattered the calm. Thorne's voice came through, strained and urgent. It was barely a whisper against the electronic storm. Mayday, Mayday. Something is not right. The instruments are gone. His words were clipped, filled with a confusion that chilled the air traffic controllers listening miles away. The controllers tried to respond, their voices calm but their hearts racing. They asked for his position, for clarification, for anything, but the channel was filled with an otherworldly hum, a sound unlike any engine or known interference. Then came the final message. It was fragmented, garbled. But through the noise a string of numbers emerged, coordinates. They were not part of any known flight path or emergency landing zone. They pointed to a desolate, forbidden patch of the Nevada desert, a place that did not exist on any public map, a place just beyond the heavily guarded perimeter of Area 51. The message ended with a single, haunting word from Thorne. "They're here!" Then, silence. 3 advanced fighter jets, and their elite pilots, had simply vanished from the radar screens. Back at Nellis Air Force Base, panic began to set in. The official story was prepared swiftly. A tragic accident, a catastrophic mechanical failure during a high-risk maneuver. The government expressed its deepest condolences. They promised a full investigation. But for Thorne's family, the explanation felt hollow. It was too neat, too quick. David was a meticulous pilot. He trusted his machine, but he trusted his own skills more. An accident involving 3 of the world's most advanced aircraft at the same time? It was statistically impossible. The official story was not a comfort, it was an insult to his memory. Sarah Thorne held the official report in her trembling hands. The paper felt cold, sterile. It was filled with technical jargon and redacted paragraphs. The official conclusion was clear. Pilot error, compounded by unforeseen equipment malfunction. It was a lie. Sarah knew it in her bones. David was not a man who made errors, not like this. Her husband had been a patriot, a man who believed in his country and its mission. But he was also a man who spoke of strange things he saw in the desert sky, whispers of lights that defied physics and technology, that seemed decades ahead of their time. Her son, 19-year-old Alex, stood beside her. He saw the pain in his mother's eyes. He felt the same burning anger. He had idolized his father. He knew every detail of the F-22 Raptor. He knew the rigorous safety protocols. The government story was a poorly constructed fiction, designed to close the book on an inconvenient truth. Alex vowed he would not let them. He would find out what really happened to his father. He would honor his memory by uncovering the truth, no matter how dangerous or deeply buried it was. His father's legacy would not be a footnote in a falsified report. Their quest began in David's home office. It was a shrine to aviation. Books on aerodynamics and military history lined the shelves. Tucked away in a locked drawer, they found David's personal journal. His handwriting was neat, precise. The later entries were different. They were filled with cryptic notes and sketches. He wrote about unidentified aerial phenomena, not as a distant theory, but as a recurring observation. He mentioned a secret project, codenamed Project Seraph, and a growing sense of unease among his fellow pilots. He felt they were being watched, not by an enemy, but by their own side. The journal was a map. It led them down a rabbit hole of coded messages and veiled warnings. Sarah and Alex began contacting other families from David's squadron. Most were too afraid to speak. They had accepted the official narrative, choosing the comfort of a lie over the peril of the truth. But one retired mechanic, a man named Henderson who had served with David for years, agreed to meet them. He spoke in hushed tones in a dimly lit diner far from the base. He told them the planes were not just flying a training mission, they were sent to intercept something that wasn't supposed to be there. Henderson's words propelled Sarah and Alex into the heart of the mystery. Their investigation became an obsession. They spent countless hours in libraries poring over declassified documents and obscure historical records. They cross-referenced David's notes with satellite imagery and old aviation charts. They learned to read between the lines of official government denials. Every redacted file was a clue. Every no comment from a government official was a confirmation that they were on the right path. They were no longer just a grieving family, they were investigators on a mission. Their journey eventually led them to the desert itself. They traveled to Rachel, Nevada, a small town on the edge of the infamous extraterrestrial highway. It was a place populated by believers and skeptics, a community living in the shadow of Area 51. Here they met with UFO researchers and former base employees. Each person added a small piece to the puzzle. They heard stories of strange lights, of sonic booms that shook houses in the middle of the night, and of military convoys that moved under the cover of darkness. The desert was not empty. It was alive with secrets. The most critical clue came from a reclusive old man, a former engineer who claimed to have worked inside Area 51 decades ago. He showed them a hidden symbol, the same one David had sketched in his journal. He explained that it was the insignia for Project Seraph. He told them it was not a project to build new aircraft. It was a project to reverse engineer something not of this world. Something that had been recovered from a crash site long ago. The technology was powerful, unstable, and far beyond human understanding. Armed with this new knowledge, Alex decrypted the coordinates from his father's final message. They did not point to a location on the ground. They were a celestial vector, a point in the sky. When cross-referenced with the time of the disappearance, they pointed to a specific orbital path. It was the path of a classified military satellite. David wasn't flying a simple training mission. He was sent to investigate a silent, dark object that had appeared near this satellite. He was sent to see what they were hiding in plain sight, high above the Earth. The truth was more terrifying than any conspiracy theory. Project Seraph was real. The government had for over 70 years been in possession of extraterrestrial technology. The strange lights in the sky were not visitors. They were their own experimental craft, built from alien blueprints. The secrecy surrounding Area 51 was not just to protect advanced weapons. It was to hide the monumental discovery that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that our own leaders had been lying about it for generations. This truth was a burden, a dangerous piece of knowledge. Sarah and Alex now faced a terrible choice. They had the evidence, David's journal, Henderson's testimony, and the engineer's confirmation. They could go to the press. They could expose the biggest cover-up in human history, but the risks were immense. They had been followed. Their phones clicked with strange noises. Unmarked black cars were often parked on their street. The government that had erased David's existence would not hesitate to silence them. To reveal the secret was to invite danger, not just for themselves, but for anyone who helped them. In the end, they understood the true meaning of David's final message. He wasn't just reporting an unknown contact. He was leaving a warning. He was telling them that the pursuit of this knowledge came at a cost. The truth was a double-edged sword. It could liberate, but it could also destroy. Their personal quest for answers had collided with a secret that could destabilize the entire world. Their grief had not lessened, but it had transformed. It was now mingled with a profound sense of awe and fear. They did not go to the media. Instead, they created a secure digital archive, a dead man's switch to release the information if anything happened to them. Their lives were forever changed. They looked at the night sky with new eyes, knowing what hid among the stars. They had found the truth about what happened to David Thorne. He had not died in a simple accident. He had died on the frontier of human discovery, a silent hero who flew too close to a secret sun. For his family, the fight was not over. It had just begun. Their loyalty was no longer to a flag, but to the truth itself.